Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some, if you like this book, then read this book, romance recommendations to share with you. I have done this video a couple of times on my channel and you guys have seemed to really like it. I wanted to bring you some more recommendations like that. So I have 5 or 6 to share with you, so let's just go ahead and dive right in. The first recommendation I have for you is if you like the Six of Crows duology, then you need to read The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. So Six of Crows is more of a YA fantasy series with a really huge found family aspect, and I really like this duology. It's one of my favorites. I read it back in 2020, and then I recently read The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. This is more of an adult fantasy romance, and the found family aspect in this book is something that I loved so much. It's one of the main things that has kept me going with the series. I really love what Demi Winters have done. So a lot of people already know Six of Crows, but if you don't, like I said, it's a found family. They're kind of like this group of mercenary assassins. They all have different backgrounds, all this stuff like that, and they're all working towards this common goal. With The Road of Bones, you see our female character, actually, she is not part of this mercenary group where the found family is very prevalent, but they kind of allow her to join in on their crew so they can get through the Road of Bones safely, because a woman by herself traveling the Road of Bones, she is going to die. That is just how it is. It's very dangerous. They have creatures that come up. So while there are some similarities, this is definitely more YA, this is definitely more adult, but if you're looking for the found family aspect in Six of Crows again, read The Road of Bones. I loved The Road of Bones. I cannot wait to read Kingdom of Claw. That's the second book in the series. This does end on a major cliffhanger. I don't know how many books in the series it's going to be, but I do know that the second book is already out because the first book ends on a cliffhanger. So if you like Six of Crows, read The Road of Bones. I think everyone would love them. The next one I have is for my dark academia, dark romance lovers, and that is if you've read and loved Gothicana by Rune X, which I have the original indie cover. I read this a couple of years ago, loved this book, then you would love Notic Cadia by Carrie Lake. So I recently read Notic Cadia in a Dark Academia romance vlog, and while that book is very long, I did see a lot of similarities to that book, from that book to this book. More so in the, flow of the story of how creepy it is, the Dark Academia. Now, Notic Cadia has a little bit more gothic and horror elements in it. Notic Cadia is more kind of paranormal. So in Gothicana, our female character, I forgot what the university is called, but she goes to this university and she basically finds out that she has this attraction to the professor, or one of the professors. He's working on his thesis at the same time, and they kind of have a romance. It's very spicy. It's kind of creepy. She can see ghosts, like people have passed on, so she can see kind of and talk to them, which is very cool. Now in Notic Cadia, our female character, she has to watch her mother die from this like horrible illness. It's very horror-esque, where like these things like eat her from the inside out. It was very creepy, but I still really enjoyed it because she goes to Cadia University. She wants to work under a professor there because he has been studying what this like parasite thing is, and she starts having a thing for him. So these are both kind of like professor-student romances. They're both in college. They're both adult. They're both dark academia. Notic Cadia is more gothic and horror, and Gothicana is more like paranormal. So there are a lot of similarities. So if you were an OG lover of Gothicana, I think that you would love Notic Cadia. And if you are newer to the dark romance, dark academia genre, if you read Notic Cadia, you would love Gothicana. So this is my next recommendation for you guys. Now the next one is one for all of the people who loved Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So I'm someone who I read Divine Rivals and the sequel to the Divine Rivals, Ruthless Vows, at the end of 2023. I love this series. Now a lot of people say this is fantasy. I personally would not consider this fantasy. This is more historical with kind of fantastical aspects. The world is not a fantasy. It's not like created. It's a very historical. It's kind of set in like what I would think like World War I, World War II is. They have typewriters, but when you walk into like a food shop, it's like enchanted to where, depending on how much money you have, they will only show you items that you could afford. So it's like kind of things like that. Now, like I said, if you love Divine Rivals, which is more of a YA-ish historical, fantastical, I don't know, it's very hard to like categorize this book, then you should pick up and read A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. So when I first started reading A Fragile Enchantment, I got the same vibes as Divine Rivals. Now, it's very interesting because in A Fragile Enchantment, our female character, she goes to work at the castle to make the prince, who is supposed to be finding a wife, all of these garments. And she has this magical power where she can put feelings and emotions and stuff, like magically enchant the items that she is crafting and making, like the pieces of clothing. Now, in Divine Rivals, each of those characters do not have magical abilities, but each of the characters in Divine Rivals has a magical typewriter that they can write something on the typewriter, slip it under the door, and it automatically goes to the person who has the matching typewriter, because there's 3 that were created and 2 of the characters have them. So that's part of it. Now, the whole magical part is, I felt very whimsical. I felt it was very whimsical when I was reading Fragile Enchantment. I also wouldn't consider it necessarily fantasy. It's very whimsical, has magical aspects, but it was a really fun time. I would say both of these are YA. A Fragile Enchantment is definitely YA. Divine Rivals is like YA new adults, but they both give me the same vibe. So if you are someone who has been looking for a book similar to Divine Rivals, definitely think that you should check out A Fragile Enchantment, because I was getting the same vibes. If you like the historical aspect where there's like a hierarchy and stuff like that, each character has something magical that they're dealing with. In this case, she does, in A Fragile Enchantment, she does have magical powers. Divine Rivals, it's just a magical typewriter. Now, this ends on a cliffhanger. Fragile Enchantment is a standalone, so I just wanted you to know that. But I did enjoy both of these books, and that's why if you are a lover of Divine Rivals, check out A Fragile Enchantment, because I think you would like it. The next recommendation I have for you is that if you've liked Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, this is the Afterlight exclusive edition, then I think you would like Sweet Spot by Rebecca Genshak. So both of these books are sports romances surrounding golf. Now, with Fangirl Down, she is his #1 fangirl, but over his career, he's kind of let it go down the drain. He doesn't really try anymore. And when his caddy basically says, I put in my resignation, he's like, hey, girl, you're a fangirl of me. You always give me pointers. Come be my caddy. Because a caddy can like act as like a partnership when you're playing golf. They could like point things out to you. And so I thought this was really fun. Forced proximity, they work together. Now, in Sweet Spot, he is actually a professional swing coach that comes to the college to work with the boys team. He notices our female character, who's actually has an amazing swing, that the coach for the female team doesn't think like that a swing coach would help them. Anyway, this is a little bit forbidden because it's a adult and he's out of college, more like a coach, and she's in college. I really liked this one. I thought it was super cute, super adorable. And when I started listening to the audiobook of Fangirl Down, I was like, oh my god, this is giving me like the same type of vibes. Now, Sweet Spot is less romantic comedy than Fangirl Down, but I would still recommend it. I just love the vibes of these 2 books. Also, we don't have enough golf romances out there. And I know that Fangirl Down gets a lot more attention because it's written by Tessa Bailey. I think that Sweet Spot is also a really good book that if you've enjoyed Fangirl Down and you're looking for some more golf romances, then you should check out Sweet Spot, because I love this book. The next one I have is that if you've read Shutout by Avery Keelan, which is the second book in this college hockey series, then you need to read If You Hate Me by Helena Hunting. Now, it gives me the same vibes because it's forced proximity, brother's best friend. They are both on the hockey team together. Now, Shutout is a college hockey romance, and If You Hate Me, her brother and her brother's best friend, it plays for a professional hockey team. So it's really the only difference. Now, in this one, it's more of like they had a one-night stand. They didn't know who each other was. She moves into the house where her brother's living because she has nowhere else to go. And that's when she finds out the guy she had a one-night stand with is her brother's best friend and teammate. And they're forced to live in the same house together. So there's a lot of forced proximity. She is like the color pink embodied, and I really love it. Obviously, I love pink, so I love any female character that loves that. Yeah, the ADHD representation in here is good, I think. So if you're looking for that, check out Shutout. But like I said, If You Hate Me by Helena Hunting is a new release by her. This is definitely more enemies to lovers. They're forced together. She moves into her brother's apartment where her brother's best friend also lives. And they've known each other for a while, and they banter back and forth constantly. They banter so much, it's ridiculous. So it's very much an enemies to lovers aspect, where Shutout is more like friends to lovers. Like, they don't really hate each other or anything like that, but they hate each other in If You Hate Me. So I will also say there's a lot more spicy scenes in If You Hate Me. So there's a lot more spicy scenes than in Shutout. So if you're looking for more spice, check out If You Hate Me. But I know that Shutout by Avery Keelan has been out for a little while, so if you've liked this one, definitely check out If You Hate Me, because I think a lot of people would enjoy it. The last recommendation I want to mention, I'm going to mention it very briefly because it's one that I was debating not putting in this list, but if you have read If He Had Been With Me by Lauren Nolan, then you should read 1,000 Boy Kisses, or vice versa. 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole is a very emotional book. These two are not romances, okay? They're not romances, and that's why I was debating not putting them on here, because I didn't like these two books, but I know that there are a lot of people who love 1,000 Boy Kisses, and they want more books similar to that. Then I suggest you read If You Hate Me by Lauren Nolan. I do have a whole reading vlog on this book where I talk about spoilers, so just know that if you want to read it, don't go watch that vlog yet. But I'm just going to mention it very briefly. I cannot talk about these two books other than it's their life. They are in high school, college, figuring things out, and stuff happens. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but if you've read one or the other, read the opposite, because I think a lot of people enjoy it. But that was my last recommendation for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, then read this book. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know. For the emoji, drop me what kind of emoji? Drop me a heartbreak emoji, like the heartbreaking emoji. The red one, because I'm wearing a lot of red today, but also the last two books that I talked about. If you know, you know. We'll just say that. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living an odd life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.